After 21 months of campaigning, we're down to 1 week left. Looking at the polls, most have Barack Obama well ahead. Pollster.com this afternoon moved Nevada into the Lean Obama column. 538.com does the cumulative thing and says that overall, McCain's chance of winning the election is less than 4%. But polls and even combinations of polls don't ultimately tell the tale. They're sort of like football statistics, yards gained, penalties, time of possession. They're interesting, they're fun to talk about, but only the final score counts. And predictive and fun as they may be, the stats don't always match the score. Another way to talk about this contest is to analyze the plays that each team makes day to day. Barack Obama, for example, was in Harrisonburg, Virginia tonight on day 2 of his closing argument tour.
In 1 week, we can choose hope over fear, unity over division, change over the status quo. In 1 week, we can come together as one nation and one people and choose our better history. After 21 months of a campaign that's taken us from the rocky coasts of Maine to the sunshine of California, we are 1 week away from bringing change to America. 1 week.
Barack Obama in Virginia. John McCain was in Fayetteville, North Carolina today, making his closing play.
We can't spend the next 4 years, as we have just spent much of the last 8, hoping for our luck to change at home and abroad. We have to act, we need a new direction, and we have to fight for it. And I am convinced that 7 days from now, we will win in North Carolina, and we will win.
I love the speeches, honestly. I love any political speech. But analyzing the rhetoric isn't really a good way to figure out who's winning either. If you like Obama, his speeches make you think he's kicking butt. And if you're a McCain person, he sounds like a fighter. He's making a great case. So how to determine where they really stand this late in the game? Would you bear with me if I tried to use a football metaphor? Yes, I am going to use a football metaphor. Not Keith Olbermann, paid football expert. Me. Thankfully, we have visual aids. Okay, here's the thing about football. It is a territorial game. You're trying to take your opponent's territory away and make it your own. You can usually tell who's winning a football game by where most of the game is being played. Right now, in our football campaign analogy, the Obama-McCain Bowl is being fought at about John McCain's 25-yard line. And that's very bad for John McCain. Here's what I mean. Each team, Republicans and Democrats, has territory, and it's divided, at least in the last 2 elections, at roughly 50-50. And like a football game, if you're playing offense in the other guy's territory, if you are near the other guy's goal line, you're winning. So here's how the 2008 field lays out. Obama, the Democrat, his 1-yard line, the deepest part of his territory, is actually Washington, D.C. That was John Kerry's widest margin of victory in 2004. So you can think about what this means for this election. If Obama were defending Washington, D.C. right now against McCain, you would know that Obama was toast. For John McCain, his 1-yard line would be Utah. That was the reddest of the red vote in 2004. The biggest margin of victory for the Republicans in 2004 was in Utah. It's as deep in McCain territory as it gets. So those are the goal lines. Those are the far ends of the field. The middle of the field, the 50-yard line. These are the states that were just 1 or 2 points apart last time around. They're neither Republican territory nor Democratic territory. They're close. In 2004, these were New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Iowa, Ohio, and New Mexico. This is where the game is typically fought. Noses are bloodied, egos are shattered, injuries are sustained. And again, this time around, both sides are battling there at midfield. But this is the part that's important. Here's where it gets grim for John McCain's side. The rest of the big fights, they're happening all on McCain's half of the field. They're all in McCain territory. States that went Republican in 2004, some by a little and some by a lot. Right around John McCain's metaphorical 40-yard line, states like Florida, Missouri, Virginia. George Bush won all of those fairly handily 4 years ago. Now, you don't want to be fighting on your 40-yard line, but it gets worse, or better, depending on who you're rooting for. North Carolina and West Virginia. They were won even more handily by the Republicans in 2004. They are deeper in McCain territory. McCain is campaigning now in North Carolina, and the Republicans just bought airtime in West Virginia. Obama, in other words, is on the march way down the field into McCain territory. And it gets even worse than West Virginia for McCain. He's fighting for every vote in Indiana now. And now Montana, where we just learned that the Republicans are being forced to spend fresh money. Montana, a state won by George Bush in 2004 by 20 points. If you go by the margins of victory in the last presidential election, McCain defending Montana from Obama would be like Obama being forced to defend Massachusetts from McCain. The game is being played on John McCain's end of the field. And even if Barack Obama doesn't win all those red states, even if he doesn't score a touchdown, he is in field goal range. And he is nowhere near having to defend his own goal line. The farthest McCain has pushed into Obama territory is about Obama's 48-yard line, Pennsylvania, a state that went for Kerry by just 2 points in 2004. What's important here is that Pennsylvania doesn't even represent a good shot for McCain. It's his Hail Mary pass. By most calculations, it's his must-have. It's his desperation move for his narrow victory strategy. So that's where we stand, exactly 1 week out, playing out the last few snaps on Senator McCain's side of the field, deep into Senator McCain's side of the field. Defense, 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 or D with a fence, D with a fence, D with a fence is not the chant that you want your crowd to take up when you are this far back on your own side of the field with time running out. Joining us now is Democratic Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell. He's a Barack Obama supporter. Governor Rendell, I hope you will forgive the extended football metaphor. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, for a state like Pennsylvania, a football-crazed state, that was terrific. But I do want to warn you, Mary, that every once in a while, those Hail Mary passes do make it.
That's right. And you have been sounding the alarm publicly and by reports behind the scenes to the Obama campaign, telling them that Pennsylvania really shouldn't be seen as safe for them, that they need to be fighting it down to the very wire in Pennsylvania. Why do you think it might be closer than the polls indicate?
Well, two reasons. Number one, give Senator McCain and Governor Palin a little credit. They lived here. I'm almost thinking of making them pay the state income tax. They've been here so much. But it does have an effect. It's reignited the base. The base in Pennsylvania was charged up when Sarah Palin was nominated, went down when her stock went down, but it's been reignited by their presence, really their omnipresence. That's number one. Number two, a little bit of this really deceitful campaign about wealth sharing. I heard the last part of Keith Olbermann's show. It's truly deceitful by both of them and hypocritical, but a little bit of that is catching on in some places among Democratic voters. That's number two. And number three, I think most of the undecideds in this state who haven't made up their mind are people who we haven't closed the deal with yet. We're trying frantically to close the deal in the last 7 days, but let's assume a good portion of those undecideds break to Senator McCain, then this is a 6-point election, not an 11-point or 12-point election. And in a 6-point election going into the last 4 or 5 days, you know, you're nervous. And it was great Senator Obama came back to Pittsburgh last night and this morning to Philadelphia suburbs. We had Hillary Clinton in on Friday in Pittsburgh. President Clinton is hitting State College, Harrisburg, and Washington County, a suburban collar county around Pittsburgh tomorrow night. And I think that's going to help, you know, really recharge our base. And our message is don't be complacent. Don't believe the polls. Anything can still happen. Get out there and vote. If it's raining, if the lines are long, stay in those lines. Don't you dare move. The country's future is at stake.
When you talk about undecided voters and people who still haven't had the deal closed with them, what do you think that undecided voters in Pennsylvania are waiting to hear? They obviously have heard a lot from the candidates. We've had all 4 candidates on both tickets spending a lot of time there. Are they waiting to have some fears assuaged? Are they waiting to hear something positive they haven't heard yet? What do you think is the right message to reach people who literally aren't decided?
Well, I think a lot of these people are confused by what has been just a long collection of 2 months assault and misinformation about Barack Obama. There's still people out there who tell me Barack Obama's going to raise my taxes. I said, no, he isn't. You make $60,000 a year. He's going to give you a 3 times bigger tax cut than John McCain. Look at the Tax Policy Institute report. But people still believe that stuff. People believe, I look at these McCain rallies in Pennsylvania, and he says, Barack Obama's going to take your wealth. And I look at the audience, and they don't have any wealth. They've probably got negative net worth because their mortgage is higher than the value of their house right now. They're earning $45,000 a year, and those folks should understand that their best hope is Barack Obama. We've got to close that deal. What I'm doing on this bus trip is telling our folks, the diehards, the elected Democrats, the committee people, the messages we've got to be getting out to those undecideds. Tell them the truth about taxes. Tell them the truth about spreading the wealth and socialism. Hey, the Republican Party said that Social Security was socialism, that Medicare was socialism. That's what they, cry about everything. So we've got to get that word out to a lot of people who are still confused. I think they're more confused than undecided.
It seems like the taxes argument is almost part of a culture argument that they're making about Barack Obama in Pennsylvania that they've been making for a long time, calling him a socialist. Not just somebody who wants to raise your taxes, but calling him a socialist. I see that the McCain-Palin folks are revising the bitter comments from back in the primaries, taking those out of context and talking about them. What do you make of them trying to bring bitter back into this? What do you make of their